everyone. Thank you. Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. Thanks a lot for joining Tony and I for this conversation around how the new and changing world and how the telcos are needing to kind of service their customers in a whole new way. Of course, physical world and virtual world, and what are some of the challenges that we are having. Of course, everyone was grounded during the pandemic, and we are slowly starting to get back to traveling for work and for personal reasons as well. So recently, I took a couple of flights, which I had a layover, and what I realized was a very unique feature United introduced recently. So when I was touching down at my layover airport, as soon as I touched down, I got a text message saying that I am landing at gate C31 and my next flight is from gate C54, and it takes about 15 minutes for me to get from my current gate to the new gate. I mean, it's a very simple, just a text message coming from your airlines, no big deal, but it was so amazing to not be stressful about will I be able to make my tight connection? Will I be able to get to the gate in time? And so this was a very small thing, but it helped in a really big place with just in time and just in place, right? So I'm sure we all get similar experiences in our day to day working with companies like Netflix and DoorDash or Zomato and so many others. So what this does to us is we expect similar or elevated level of customer experience from everyone that we do business with, and including the communications provider. And so it's no surprise that these increased level of customer experiences increases customer loyalty, and that in turn increases the revenue as well. So Tony, in your experience as a CSP or a communication service provider, how has customers expectation changed recently, or if you saw this changing before pandemic or after pandemic?
Yes, hi Smita, indeed, I really love your example of the simple text message during your stopovers, because most people would listen to that and say, okay, but it's a text message. I get text messages all the day, all time, all day long. What's transformational about that, and what's digital about that? But that simple text message hits on the four key points that our customers have come to expect. And you already mentioned the first two, just in time and just in place. So just in place, you have to meet your customers where they are and make the experience as frictionless as possible. The interface in this example, it's so simple that it's virtually invisible. Nowadays, we're using our phones all the time. I'm sure one of the first things you did after the airplane landed was to turn off airplane mode, and to some extent, you didn't even realize that you're interacting with a pretty sophisticated digital interface designed by the architects and engineers at United, because it's just a simple text message sitting there on the phone. The interface became invisible and just blended into your existing environment. And that's not just limited to text messages. We have other digital interfaces all around us with virtual assistants and wearables and even kiosks in the retail stores, which have become very popular in some of our markets in LLA, where many of our customers still like to pay in cash, and they can do so directly at a kiosk without waiting for an agent to become available or having to speak to anyone. Secondly, the just in time, and I would say that the timely proactive communication is very key in this scenario. So when you turned on your phone, I'm sure you weren't thinking about, okay, I have to find my gate, where's my next flight, and so on. You were probably looking to speak to your kids or your spouse or someone, but nevertheless, the message was there waiting for you when you needed it. You didn't need to go search for a website, log into an app, seek out an agent. The information came straight to you. It wasn't reactive, it was proactive. And this is a really important mind shift for CSPs, because we often think about how we can respond to customers' requests, but we don't always anticipate what our customers are looking for and present it to them proactively. The third thing on this message was that it was sent directly to you, to Smita. It wasn't sent to anyone else, it was sent to you. It wasn't a broadcast message with all of United Airlines flights. You didn't have to know your flight number. You didn't have to know your destination in order to receive that message. Previously at an airport, I'm sure you would have probably walked on and found one of those screens, those scrolling screens with the list of all the flights and looked for where your destination was and then found the gate. Instead, now you have a text message. It's personalized for you with the information that you needed. And like you were saying before, customers have just come to expect that. In our day-to-day lives, we have Amazon or Netflix, which are, masters at this personalized approach to providing these personalized messages to our customers. And CSPs are no different, right? When I'm roaming, which is not so often these days, but we're starting back up again. And when I go roaming, if I'm over my data cap or I'm coming close to it, then I receive a text message and it gives me the option to purchase additional data allowance specifically designed to my roaming plan. And then all I need to do is respond to a text message, and there we go. I've increased my data cap. Which brings me to the fourth part, and I think this is probably the one that I like the most, and it brings it all together. It's most important is because it's very low effort, almost zero effort for the customer, and it's optimizing the customer's time. So just think about that again. It's optimizing the customer's time, not the agent's time or the employee's time or the company's time. It's focusing on the customer. Right? So by receiving that text message, you didn't need to open an app, you didn't need to go to the website, you didn't need to find the flight screen that I spoke about, you didn't need to speak to an agent. And if there's a gate change or a delay to the flight, you'll get another message so you don't go to the wrong gate, or maybe you can spend that extra 20 minutes to get lunch instead of waiting at the gate or standing in line. So the overall experience has improved, and customers have come to expect that. So eventually the benefits to the business will come. That reduction in agents and the customer loyalty will naturally follow.
Yeah, that's very true. And I think you really summarized it well with those 4 points. And with this increased use of digital channel and some of those that you mentioned, of course, we talked about text messages or website. Everything from like buying gifts to groceries to requesting an Uber, we use this digital channel, and customer expects those channels to be introduced to their work environment and through their CSPs. And I used to get to these communications providers in the mall, but I haven't stepped into a mall for a very long time. And now I do everything either on the app or the website or by calling them, right? So, how are you able to really meet your customers where they are with this now elevated level of expectations that whether I add a product to my cart on the website and then I walk into a retail store, or I call a customer service agent, they know what I have been doing or how I have been interacting with the service provider. So, how are you able to provide this omnichannel service to your customers?
There's not one size that fits all. We have lots of different customers in very different situations. And for that reason, it's extremely important that we have an omni-channel approach to handling those customers' needs. And, despite all of the digital channels, some of which you mentioned, we still have a large volume of foot traffic in retail stores and voice traffic going into the call centers. Retail stores maybe not quite as much these days, but it is starting to pick back up again. But again, the key to understanding and addressing those customers' requests is not to focus on trying to change that behavior or trying to work out, well, how can we reduce time of agents or work out how we can handle more customers, but to focus on the customer's needs. So try to put yourself in your customer's shoes, try to anticipate what their needs are, and proactively deliver the service they expect wherever they are as effortlessly and as frictionlessly as possible. So, for example, in some of our markets, up to 50% of our calls into our call centers are successfully handled by automated IVR without ever reaching an agent. In other markets, WhatsApp is the go-to digital channel of choice. And during the pandemic, actually, in one market in particular, our WhatsApp traffic grew by 400% at its peak. Now, it's come down a little since then, but it's still up there challenging voice as the top digital channel in that market.
Mm,
And then for those calls that are getting through to the call center agents, it's really critical that they have the tools and the capabilities at their disposal to address those customers' needs.
mm,
So in LLA, the way we've been focusing on that is by rolling out our customer 360-degree view. And
mm,
this is not only for the call center agents, it's also being used by our sales teams, our account managers in the retail stores, and even where we're rolling it out right now is directly to our end customers, so they have an exactly the same digital experience as the agents that the customers are seeing. So whichever channel our customers are accessing, there is this consistent 360-degree view.
mm,
The other thing is to make sure we're educating our customers about what these time-saving options are at their disposal. This year, we did a simple exercise in our small business call center where we took a particular call disposition, certain types of calls, and at the end of every call, the agent would spend an additional 30 seconds or minute or so with the customer, asking them if they had access to our portal. And if not, they would proactively sign them up and show them exactly how to resolve that particular request online. So, that's kind of contrary to the typical approach. Each call is now increased by 30 seconds to a minute. But the net result of that exercise that we saw a 50% reduction in those particular call reasons over a 3-month period.
mm. That's very interesting. Other day, I remember when we were speaking, you also mentioned about a mobile store, if I'm not wrong. Can you elaborate a little bit just for a minute about your mobile store idea?
Correct. Yeah. So, during the pandemic, it was, as a challenge for everyone. We had stores shuttered. People were not able to, people were stuck in their homes, and we were starting to mobilize some of our workforce, but obviously they couldn't necessarily, we couldn't reopen the stores for obvious reasons. And we looked at various different ways of addressing the needs of our customers during this time. One of them was a virtual store whereby customers could contact us through. We actually used WhatsApp again as the channel of choice to be able to deliver the virtual store experience to our customers. But still, some customers were so used to the cash payments or human interaction that we came up with the idea of the mobile stores, where we would literally drive around, meet the customers where they are. Now, that's taking the meeting the customers where they are very literally.
Very
Um,
literally.
but you have to be in the situation, in the customer's shoes again, and make sure you meet them under their certain circumstances.
Mhm. No, I'm sure this was very helpful, and seriously meeting the customer where they are, I think I'm sure they appreciated it a lot. So for you to be able to achieve this, I'm sure, and we as a Prodapt are seeing this everywhere in the industry, in CMT industry, that most of our CSPs are going through a huge transformation to make sure their systems, their BSS or their OSS systems are transformed and modernized to support all of these elevated expectations around customer experience. And I remember there was a time when the systems were built keeping the product as a center of everything, but today we have seen this shift happen, and now we have a customer at the center of everything, right? And this shift is very important, from providing this elevated level of customer experience, if you will. So and we've been closely working with LLA, so I'm aware that we are going through a systems transformation and we are modernizing our architecture to support this experience. But have you also seen this shift happen at an organization or a culture or a people level?
We do have a very complex IT ecosystem here in LLA, and like most CSPs, LLA has grown over the years through mergers and acquisitions, and it feels like we're always going through one system transformation and another in order to just keep current, and this can have a very disruptive experience to the end users and ultimately to the customers. So it's very important, how do you continue to provide that consistent digital customer experience if you have so many changes going on in your underlying systems all the time? Right? So the way we've addressed this in LLA is that we're going all in with the TM Forum Open APIs, and we started this journey just over a year ago now. And as new digital capabilities are being delivered to our customers, as new systems are being brought online, and the older ones are being retired, we iteratively are adding pieces to the jigsaw puzzle, which abstracts a lot of these complexities from our end users and enables that consistent omni-channel experience for the customers. Okay. In terms of the organization, that is also an area of change for us. I would like to say that in LLA, we've always had a very strong focus on the customer. Actually, last year, in 2020, prior to the pandemic, for most of us, in January, we kicked off the year and we announced the year of the customer. And this was from the CEO all the way down the organization. And we implemented training plans and initiatives directly targeting how we rethink the customer experience. And now we're evolving that further. And just recently, we announced the appointment of a chief customer officer at the executive level of the company. And I think what this evolution brings is that instead of individual departments focusing on their narrow focus of what the customer needs from the inside out, we're now looking at the customer experience end to end from more of an outside in approach, right? Which evolves those customer needs somewhat and allows us to have a more cross-functional approach to how we address the full life cycle.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think we are all seeing the shift in our day-to-day life. And thank you so much for your time. And I hope this conversation was useful to others who are listening to this. And we all can kind of give that amazing experience that our customers require from us. Thank you so much and have a good day. Good night, everybody.
Thank you very much, Smita.